Hi, welcome to Encouragement for Today. I'm Pastor Emily. My question for you today is, what does it look like to love our enemies? Love sounds like a fluffy word until we're asked to love when we've been offended or when we've been hurt by another person. Jesus has some pretty challenging words to say about this, and he himself embodies a love that it stands even as he is crucified. His love for the world doesn't change even as the world is rejecting him. So in walking like Christ, we're asked to embody a very challenging form of love. In Matthew 5, verses 38 through 40, Jesus says, "You've heard that it was said," and he's referring to the Old Testament scriptures, "eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well." So one of the first reactions I have is, what? Jesus, are you telling people to accept abuse? Because I'm not sure that's love. And no, I don't think Jesus is telling people to accept patterns of abuse. I think what Jesus is talking about here are minor offenses. Like a slap on the cheek or taking a shirt, they're shocking and they're not loving gestures, obviously, but they're relatively minor. And Jesus is saying when you encounter these minor offenses, choose not to retaliate, and then go even further than that. Respond with extra grace, which is disarming. And maybe that's the point. Jesus is encouraging us to embody a kind of love that's very stubborn. It's so stubborn that it refuses to stop standing even when another person is not being loving towards us. I think experience has shown us that there are times when there need to be limits and boundaries to help stop destructive patterns. But Jesus doesn't want us to get pulled down into destructive patterns by how we retaliate. The other verse I wanted to lift up today is from Matthew 5, verse 44. And it says, "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." I had trouble with this one this week because there was a conversation I encountered that was surprising and offensive. I was struggling with how to wrap my head and heart around my own reaction to the experience. And it took me a good 24 hours until I was able to genuinely pray for the other person that I encountered. I hit a point where I realized, okay, people who are healthy in their own mind, body, life experience, they usually don't mistreat people. So if somebody reacts very strongly, it's usually out of their own lack of well-being or their own pain. So I slowly, very, very slowly shifted to a place where it's like, okay, God, I want to pray for this person's well-being, for their life, for them to see you at work in and around them. As I did that, I noticed that there was a freedom that came in my own soul. When we're offended, we have this tendency to cling to animosity, but praying genuinely for another, loving another, regardless of how they have treated us, it has a way of slowly helping us open our hands back up and want healing and well-being for everybody in the world. So my encouragement for you today is to stop and to take a moment to genuinely pray for somebody who has become an enemy in your heart and mind. And notice as you slowly start to get into a genuine posture, notice what that frees up inside your own heart, mind, and soul. We'll see you again soon.